And let's go to some breaking news from Brian Wacker of the Baltimore Sun, who just dropped a news story sharing that according to his sources, Lamar Jackson is likely to miss Sunday's game against the Houston Texans with his hamstring injury. Breaking news, Brian Wacker of the Baltimore Sun noting just a short while ago that Lamar is expected to miss their Week 5 contest, Sarah, against the Houston Texans. That means Cooper Rush will be QB2, and that means they will be looking for a QB3. Let's go ahead and bring this up right now. Make sure that we're fully caught up to speed on Brian Wacker's breaking news story, courtesy of the Baltimore Sun. Not a surprise, Sarah, but sure looks like this could be reality for the Ravens for up to 2 to 3 weeks based on his reporting.
Let me read a little bit of the article. I haven't read it yet, so I don't know if I'm adding anything, but I thought it was worth clicking in. Lamar Jackson is likely to miss Sunday's game against the visiting Houston Texans with a hamstring injury. 2 sources with direct knowledge of the situation confirmed to the Baltimore Sun on Tuesday. Given the nature of the injury, he could also, Given the nature of the injury, he could also be out for up to 2 to 3 weeks, one of the sources said. Hamstring injuries typically keep a player out 2 to 4 weeks, depending on the severity, though a source said that Jackson will try to see if he could return in time for Sunday. The Ravens host the Los Angeles Rams in Week 6 on October 12th before their bye week, and a game against the Chicago Bears in Week 8 on October 26th. Okay, so would it shock anybody that Lamar, given that hamstring injuries or really soft tissue injuries often take 2 to 4 weeks, wouldn't it be reasonable for us all right now to have the expectation that he's out until after the bye?
Yes. Yes. And this goes back to what we discussed all the way back in March, at times throughout the summer when we were having exercises in the nitty-gritty of this team, Sarah, and going over potential emergency plans. And here they are. This is why you went and got Cooper Rush. Yes, he did not look good against the Chiefs when he was thrust in the fourth quarter. Tyler Huntley will likely be QB2 backing up Cooper coming up on Sunday against the Texans. This is why you upgraded QB2. I have no idea what to expect from this scheme with Cooper Rush under center for 4 quarters at the very least moving forward. I have no idea what to expect from this Ravens offense and where they're going to be on the opposite side of the ball given the injuries that face them right now. But this is why you went and upgraded over Josh Johnson. You went and got somebody that is, yes, it's a small sample size, accomplished as a backup, who's gotten a lot of reps under his belt when Dak Prescott went down in Dallas. And Sarah, he's going to have a chance to prove yet again that he is capable of weathering the storm on hopefully what is a short-term timeline for Lamar's recovery. This is exactly what we had conversations on in the offseason. It's now here. It's now Cooper Rush's time.
I have 2 different thoughts, actually, Bobby, and maybe we can come back to Super Chats. I don't know if we finish, because this leads perfectly into our next section. We were going to talk about injuries anyway, leading with Lamar Jackson. There are 2 thoughts that I have in addition to what you just said. Well said, bringing up Cooper Rush. I guess now three thoughts I have. Let's start with Cooper Rush. We're going to find out if it was a good idea for the Ravens to get a quarterback who is in a completely different style than Lamar Jackson. Look, I get it. Lamar Jackson is one of one. I don't care if it was like Tyrod Taylor, maybe RG3 was the closest. Like, there's just not a lot of guys that you can say, hey, we'll just put him in and it'll be Lamar Jackson like. So maybe that's the reasoning for them being like, hey, nobody can replicate Lamar, so let's just go with any style quarterback. But we're going to see how quickly this offense, including the offensive coordinator, the offensive line will have to adjust. Blocking for Lamar is very different than blocking for Cooper Rush. Wide receiver is going to have to adjust. Cooper Rush is probably more like on time. He's not going to like go and buy time forever. Like, it's going to be like the ball is out. I mean, he was throwing the ball away last week when guys were open. He was quick to throw it away, not wanting to make a big mistake. So we're going to find out, did it matter that they got a quarterback that is not even close to the same style? That's my first thought on this. My second thought, which one do I want to go for? Okay, I'll have two more and I'll go to one first. I'm really, really about this offensive line. Bobby, you and I, you just said it. We've been talking all offseason with these guards and this offensive line. It was going to shock none of us if Lamar Jackson got injured. So I'll come back to that one in a second because I have film study on this offensive line. It was atrocious against the Chiefs. Before I get to that, though, this is why, personally, I didn't love it when people accused Lamar of quitting on his team. I thought that, let me see if I can find this here. Cordell Woodland, who's a friend of the show and has been here a few times, said it really well on Twitter the other day. He says, I'm honestly shocked that there are so many people ready to throw Lamar to the wolves. You really think Lamar quit on his team? Is that where we are? And why is it throwing Lamar to the wolves? Think about it. I get that people are so upset with John Harbaugh that it would be so satisfying to see the franchise quarterback stick it to Harbaugh and say, I'm not playing for you anymore. Or stick it to that, the whole organization for not getting him a better offensive line and whatnot. Like, that would be satisfying because you're so angry at John Harbaugh. But the collateral damage, I'm not sure people are seeing what they would do to Lamar Jackson's reputation by making those types of accusations that he would quit on his team. How about first and foremost, people in Kansas City or somebody like Nick Wright being like, Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs have Lamar Jackson's number so badly that they made him want to quit. How about people who question Lamar Jackson's leadership ability? How about this? On WJZ, they just debated this with Cordell. Cordell was standing up for Lamar again. And while they wouldn't come out and say he quit, but these are the type of things that you're leading Lamar to. Here he is. He's going to be out at least one, maybe until after the bye, because the injury was real, not because he quit on his team. But now people are questioning his leadership.
New here. I'm coming up on a year, so I've tread lightly my first year, but I've observed and I've watched, and I do think that it is valid to start questioning Lamar's leadership. Because I do. I think as a quarterback, that is the most important person on that field when it comes to leadership, and it is your job to rally the troops. I was the first one to say in defense of Lamar last year, we're looking at the numbers for MVP candidates, right? And I'm like, how could Lamar not win it, right? If we're looking at numbers, like, he is the most talented quarterback on that field. Like, I am not denying that. But there's more to being a quarterback. You look at all winning, Super Bowl winning quarterbacks, you have to have a level of leadership that is just, it's the it factor, right? And I will say this, I think Josh Allen has that it factor. And if that's what people went off of the numbers and the it factor, then I can see that now. I'm not seeing that leadership it factor out of Lamar.
So this is what I'm talking about. I get that there's so much angst that you want Lamar to just stick it. You want him to stick it to John Harbaugh. But that isn't a good look for a leader of a team if he were to actually do that. And he didn't. He clearly was legitimately hurt. That is not in Lamar Jackson's DNA to quit in a football game against another quarterback who he's been dueling against and people compare all the time. It's not in his DNA. How do you think that reputation would look? Yeah, not only in Kansas City, not only with the Nick Wrights of the world or national media. How do you think that would play inside the locker room with guys putting their careers on the line? They're just as frustrated and as upset. Lamar Jackson is not a quitter. Can we please never accuse him of that again? This has already happened before when he was legitimately injured. I believe it was in 2021 or 2022. I can't remember which injury it was. Let's stop painting our own quarterback as a quitter. That's not who he is. He is a leader. He has sacrificed behind a porous offensive line. We all know what the offensive line has been. We've seen him running for his life, but that's where we first go to instead of being like, dang, my quarterback got hurt. Let's not ever accuse him of being a quitter ever again. Please, that's where I'm at, because you are hurting his reputation. He was legitimately hurt.
It's where you have to be at now that this news story just broke from Brian Wacker. So, courtesy of the Baltimore Sun. If you're just tuning in, we've got breaking news. According to Brian's sources, he's a beat reporter for the Sun. Lamar is likely to miss Sunday's game against the Houston Texans and potentially up to 2 to 3 weeks. Sarah, just because it warrants repeat, they are 2 weeks out from their early bye. That is week 7. They will host the Texans this weekend and the Rams the following weekend. That's where things stand right now. The Ravens could very well be without Lamar over the course of the next 3 weeks. They will host the Chicago Bears in week 8 out of the bye, meaning Cooper Rush could be under center for this team for the next couple weeks. Tyler Huntley expected to be QB2. Of course, he is your practice squad quarterback. That's where things stand right now. Sarah, what do you have for us on film?
Yeah, so Coach Derek Coleman, right? Coleman?
Oh, and by the way, sorry to interrupt. Derek just couldn't make it today. So we're hoping to reschedule with him at some point.
Yeah.
And as always, like Sarah's about to bring up, we hope that you guys support Derek Coleman on the All 22 Ravens film channel because he's awesome, and we're going to have him semi-regularly throughout the season.
Yeah, along with a lot of film guys. So I did, though, go over to his page.
It's pretty obvious.
He did a film study on the second quarter kind of meltdown where things were kind of flipped back into Kansas City's favor after the Ravens jumped out to a 7-0 lead after a beautiful first drive that disappeared suddenly. Anyway, I grabbed some clips from that video, and my goodness, you thought John Harbaugh eviscerated Todd Monken in the offensive approach? Derek Coleman just eviscerating this offensive line. Let's take a look. We'll pause from time to time.
And I think it's pretty obvious. It should be obvious to everyone at this point that the Chiefs, the Lions teams are going to keep doing this because our offensive line can't handle it. They flatly put, the offensive line for the Ravens is a huge problem. Lamar's decision-making yesterday wasn't good either, but I think it starts right here. And for whatever reason, the operation and the consistency is just not there. And I think the finger needs to be pointed at George Warhop, Todd Monken, and John Harbaugh in that order. Basically, they're overwhelming the left side of our offensive line. Lamar is able to get out of there, get the first down. I do have to mention, how can you not enjoy the effort that this guy gives on this play? I don't think Ronnie Stanley really should have been out on this field. To me, he looks like he's dragging that right foot a lot. You kind of get a little bit of a sense of it here. Wow, yeah. No push off at all. Everything seems to be left foot and left hip oriented.
He was wondering, by the way, if they pulled him out, not because he re-injured it, but they could see on there that he just wasn't ready and wasn't up to par. So, but yeah, he was dragging for sure.
Wow.
So that's too bad. And that's another thing. Could Ronnie Stanley be out? We're in a Lamar's out, Rowe and Marlin, plus Namdi and the others we've talked about. But Ronnie Stanley might not be able to go either.
I just muted him for a second so we can run that back once more because he really is dragging that. What looks to be his
forward,
right.
Go forward. There it is. Yep.
Right. It looks to be his right ankle that's dragging and sort of laboring here, right? Yeah. Whoa. Now, Sarah, remember when we talked last week, we were like, wait a second, Ronnie popped up on the injury report with an ankle. The surgically repaired one, to answer both of our questions from last week, is the opposite.
Oh, okay.
It's the left ankle. So maybe that's a positive sign in all of this, all things considered, because that thing literally almost did derail his career temporarily, but it could have ended his career, I thought, at times. We all kind of thought that might have been involved. So anyway, just interesting note there.
Yep. Okay. So this one, he's picking out a run play. But this is bad. Here we go.
You cannot talk about this if you're trying to be serious about analyzing the game.
He's got circled Daniel Fa'alele, who just fell down.
We are not capable and competent at our guard positions. And people have been talking about this since the draft. They've been talking about this since 2024. How much more visual evidence do people need? We've got to be able to stay on our feet consistently, at least to give us an opportunity to try to move up to the second level. Kolar and Noteboom did a really good job, but they were kind of handed that one, to be honest with you, with the D end in a 7 technique. That means inside shade of the tight end. Right, so another situation where pressure mounts on us, very next play, 2nd and 10. Whether it's Falele, whether it's Hill, I don't care. Someone's got to be better at handling it. This isn't Lamar's job. What's wrong with Lamar Jackson? He's got a shitty offensive line that is incapable of doing pass pro consistently. Jones is not trying to rush. Jones is just trying to occupy two players. I don't think when the Chiefs drew this up, they had any idea that they'd be able to attract three. There is no reason for Filet.
You see that, Bobby? 3 guys are on Jones, where the 2 guys already had him handled. But Fa'alele goes over there anyway and misses this blitzing linebacker, where Justice Hill feels like he's supposed to be leaking out for a check down. Fa'alele, so one moment he's falling down, and the second one, he's like, here, let me go triple team over here when I know they keep blitzing every other minute and not worry about the blitz. Here comes the linebacker.
They did not be able to adjust here to this. I think that Hill has B gap, but the lack of awareness by Falele, if you're telling me that this is a guy who's a Pro Bowl player, that he can only play on the specific tracks that are drawn up for him and cannot adjust at all to what is being offered, what's being shown on the field, that's not good enough. That's not good enough for him. It's not good enough for Voorhees, Justice Hill. Lamar Jackson's problem is this O-line. Lamar Jackson's problem is our inability to get things blocked consistently. Did Lamar have mental breakdowns in the second quarter? Absolutely. Make poor decisions? For sure. That was one of them, right? Throwing the football out of there. Yeah, you got to throw the football out of bounds. So Chiefs are up 13-7 after a really easy touchdown. And 3-3 look for Kansas City on a 1st and 10. It's almost like they know we're passing. You know, maybe it's related to who we have at running back there. It's
it's related, all right. If Justice Hill is back there, there's like, it's probably why Justice Hill went for 70 is because they're like, oh, we don't got to worry about him running, right? Yep. They for sure on 1st and 10 are giving looks like it's 3rd and 10 because they see Justice Hill out there. Definitely predictable.
I don't know about you guys, but for me, I would prefer not to leave Chris Jones unblocked. I just feel like there's certain players in the game that you don't want to just leave unblocked and give them a free run to your quarterback. And Chris Jones, you know,
he's not free. It only looks like he's free. Check this out. Fa'alele has him. He just blows right by Fa'alele.
Is probably one. What I will say is it's happening often in the A-gaps. Teams are bringing these pressures in the A-gaps. And so I think that means they're looking at the film and they're seeing, hey, we can get after these guys. Our operation stinks. Lamar doesn't trust them. No one can block 6-on-5, right? The ball's got to be out when that happens. And I think Lamar needed to look to the top side, the field side here. Two things can be true. Lamar had some decision-making problems in this game. Admit to it, okay? Move on. He's got to get better. I think he will. I don't know if the offensive line will get better. I'm not sure that they can get better. I don't know how it's not clear to everyone that it's a huge factor that our offensive line, number one, has an inability to block things consistently in the run game. And number two, this is the second week in a row, and I would say 3 out of the first 4 games where teams have looked at our pass pro, looked at our players, our personnel up there, and attacked in certain locations. And I think the stress points are Voorhees and Falele. Falele and Voorhees sounds like a bad movie or a bad music duo.
Sarah, it's open season. He said it right there. It's the A-gaps. It's these unmarked blitzing DBs. It's the cover zero that they have no answer for. And it's leaving Lamar Jackson not only in no man's land, not only susceptible to injury, which he now is for the foreseeable future on a 2 to 3 week timeline, potentially, according to Brian Wacker. But most importantly, he is leaving him in this mode of he's frantic. His footwork shows that. His ball security or lack thereof shows that. And his forcing at times shows that. And that is a darn shame.
This is another thing that you can put on coaching, but you can add in Eric DeCosta.
Tilly agrees, by the way.
Yes, thank you. Tilly's angry. Tilly's angry with everybody else after watching that film. This is another thing that you can put on coaching / EDC because it's like, listen, sometimes you just get put in a position where you don't have great personnel. And like, you just got to hang on until there's a moment where you can reload. And all last year, from the Raiders game on and maybe even before, we saw that Fa'alele wasn't close to being ready. And at best, he has games where he's like at best average and doesn't have like these silly things where he's falling down or in a blender or whatever. You knew who Fa'alele was. You knew that John Harbaugh doesn't believe in Ben Cleveland. But you kept telling us week in and week out, Fa'alele was good. And then at some point he had a good game. And everybody's like, see, we told you. See, we told you. And then he goes back to being Daniel Fa'alele. And I get that you like your guys and you got to have your back. And I do agree that that's what a coach does, is you definitely, outside of Todd Monken yesterday, you publicly show support. But everybody knew it. And if you wanted to continue to commit to the developmental project, then you should have had a better backup plan. But your backup plan was Ben Cleveland, who very well could play better. We don't know. He hasn't got out there. But we already knew his relationship with John Harbaugh. And we already knew he didn't trust Ben Cleveland. And so you're going in with Daniel Fa'alele, and your backup plan is a guy that your head coach doesn't believe in. Meanwhile, you stuck with Andrew Voorhees. He lost his job after 3 weeks last year. And there's no real backup plan there, too. And so here you are. And then we all said, man, if Ronnie Stanley goes down, they're really in trouble. And now here we are with Ronnie Stanley dealing with an ankle. And so that's why I didn't bring in, I will for you tomorrow, Jared, bring in Nick Wright, blaming it on Lamar Jackson. Because nobody's going to see. Do you think Nick Wright cares about John Harbaugh talking about how it's the coach's fault for not putting Lamar Jackson in a position to succeed? Do you think Nick Wright wants to hear that? No, all he wants to hear is, see, I told you. Told you Lamar's not that guy. Do you think Nick Wright is going to look at this film and be like, holy crap, Lamar Jackson didn't have a chance? All he's going to say is, oh, Lamar should have thrown it away. And he should have thrown it away. But it's snap after snap after snap after snap. And in the back of your head, it's growing on you as a quarterback that it's like, I can't trust him. And almost on every play, if I don't try to be Superman on every play, then I'm going to have to throw it away so often. And so until you look at these things, you just add to the narrative. You just add to the narrative. But they did not help him with the game plan yesterday, and they have not helped him by sticking by these guards that everybody was talking about and being nervous about and saying they aren't it. And you didn't even have a backup plan in case they weren't.